Hail Internet! It's Paul. It's Matt. Amber will join us again next week. She's out this week. But we are here to talk about Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 2, Stormborn.
Yes.
All right. So, it definitely pushes things along. If we had the setup episode 1, this one is catapulting things forward.
And
perhaps a little too fast, but okay.
Continue the trend of taking people off the board.
Yes.
That started last week. It's like even more people are taken off the board.
All right, so with that setup, we will not do this as a shot-for-shot thing, because I'm kind of forgetting exactly how everything went. But we know from the beginning that it takes place. We're right back in the map room at Dragonstone.
Right.
Here's the deal, though. It's not right away.
No.
Like, they show up. It's a sunny day.
Right.
They walk in. She stands in front of the table, and she's like, "Shall we begin?" Credits. This time it starts with, "It's now night. Horrible weather. Stormborn. Blah, 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 blah." So anyway, what's going on, guys? like she's been standing there for 7 hours or so. Now we'll continue. Okay, good. But yeah, so we do learn some information that was also in the books, that when she was born on a particular night, it was this horrible, horrible storm.
Yeah, sure.
Back in Dragons, of course, she doesn't remember that because she was being born at the time. Yes. But she now returns, and on the day of her return, there's also another horrible storm.
Yes.
And hence the reason she is named Daenerys Stormborn. Every time she shows up in the castle, apparently has to storm horribly. I don't know. That's a thing. Anyway, your thoughts on that initial map scene. So we have the map scene and we have all the allies.
Right. Well, initially it was sort of like, before we bring in all the people, it was like, let me bust out, Varys, or what is his name? Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me interrogate him about why I should even begin to trust you.
And let me just say this. Why now?
You're not the first person to ever talk about why
you
now.
Waited until, you crossed the sea. You had all those months with him back in the East. He helped you through that part. You were sitting with him day after day. He's like, "Hey, you know what? I think I can get us some allies. I'll go talk to the Tyrells and the Dorm." Okay, fine. Right. It works.
Right.
They're there.
Right.
You get on a boat with him. You sail. Theoretically, that takes more than a few minutes. Although it seems like that in the show, it only takes a while. You get all the way. You're standing next to him on a boat for days. Then you get finally at the Dragonstone. You're like, "All right, we're here." I don't know that I try. Like, what? Where did that come from? It seemed a little oddly placed. Right. That she shouldn't, because he hasn't done anything in the last 24 hours to make her doubt him.
Right.
And so why does she suddenly go, "You know what, I don't know that you were kind of a jerk, and you tried to have me killed back in the day. I don't trust you now." Like, whoa.
Right. So you're not the first person I've heard other podcasts where they've cast doubt upon the timing of such a declaration.
Yeah.
It didn't bother me. So I guess this is why I'm going to defend it.
All right. It bothered me at the time, but all right, you go for it.
It didn't bother me at the time, partly because I feel like, now she's in her, she's like, okay, I'm in where I need to be. So let me look at everybody again, and say, okay, because before it was fine, we were, someplace else, but are you good enough for me to continue with?
It just seemed like to me, I'll just say this, it seemed like an excuse. I'm putting a wall up. It's all right. Close it. It just seemed to me like an excuse for exposition, and it wasn't necessarily a good reason for it. Like, okay, that's all I'm saying. It was just like, oh, you know what? We should get some information now, a little backstory on Varys. Let's throw this in now by having her doubt him in this moment. It just didn't feel like he'd done anything to warrant that kind of, I'm going to kill you. I will burn you alive if you screw me. Like, that's what she said to him.
Yeah, well,
that's pretty serious for a guy who hasn't really done anything wrong for you, and you've had all these months with him. All right, anyway, so go ahead. Continue.
I think the points she brings up in terms of, I think that's what I think you could say that everything she's done up until now has been provisional. Sort of like, if I can get to this next place, maybe I can accept situations, and maybe I won't question anything especially hard, because it's important for me to get to this place. And now that she's here, she's like, okay, now she feels like she got a little power where she can interrogate him. And I think the point of it is not necessarily that, okay, let's have a conversation I should have had a long time ago. But it's like, what are you about? What is going on? Because, I'm really trying to establish something here.
Shouldn't
and maybe
she have
before...
asked that before, that's all. Okay.
Don't
bring him
actually,
along.
I think it's something that you can keep asking him.
Well, I do like one of her...
Because one of the things she tells him is the fact that, I'm really depending upon you, and I think you are smart enough, because now she's seen him work.
She does say,
now.
hey, if you see me being
right.
stupid, don't just go behind my back,
right.
tell me, which
now,
is nice.
That potentially is a Chekhov's gun.
Yeah. No, I agree. There's probably a moment where she's like doing something, she's
right.
off the rails,
right.
and he's going to be like, you're off the rails.
Right. So now they're setting that up. And you could just say, well, let's just say, hey, I felt a little crazy. You could have started like that, but...
Well, it was interesting, too, because one of her objections to him was that he had supported her brother.
Right.
It was like, how dare you support my family? That guy was stupid and an idiot. Like, well, okay. Like, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's... not going to support you as a Targaryen.
Well,
he supported a Targaryen, even a stupid Targaryen.
No, I think, that's the point. It's like, if you're just going to give false support all
the
time,
it was just kind
why should I ever trust you?
It was just a funny statement to make, to say, like, one of the things that you're a horrible person for, supporting my brother.
Yeah, that idiot.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. That's the point.
Okay, all right.
You supported idiots and people before giving blind, things here. So, yeah, letting her know that, I don't want a yes man, No,
and
So I think that's the point of the whole conversation.
I think the conversation itself was well placed in terms of, like, that's a conversation they should have. I just felt like they should have had it before she got on the boat, that's all. That's my thought is, have that back in the East, make that decision, then you're like, all right, you're in until you do something stupid, and then we can talk about this again. It just didn't seem like he'd done anything like, wait, why was the gate left open last night? Varys? You know what I mean? Like, I needed something like that to warrant I don't trust you and I'll burn you alive if you cross me.
Yeah, I didn't need that at all.
Okay, all right. So be it. We had, I saw, there was the little post-show thing with Dan and Dave.
Yes.
They had the thing where they were talking about how they enjoyed having a map scene involving all the queens, basically, all plotting.
Yeah, some people were suggesting that they were being basically just patting themselves on the back for having women in the show.
Ah, okay. Could be. Although it was interesting the way they said it anyway. The way they were like, we wrote the scene out with all the allies, and then we suddenly realized, oh, they're all women. Oh, that's interesting.
Yes. Yes, and they were saying that they like that. They like, having something that's different and all that. And that sounds good to me. They're getting a lot of... has always gotten a lot of heat. So, I like the work they do. Maybe not everything they do, but, I'm not as hard to them as some other people.
Gotcha. So we end there with, they have the plan.
Well,
Tyrion kind of convinces her to do her thing, and then she has the conversation with Olenna.
She needs to get everybody's buy-in. At first, they're thinking she's crazy not to just storm the whole place and lay waste. And they several times she had to express that she didn't want to be the Queen of Ashes.
I will say here's another. I agree with part of the sentiment, the Tyrion sentiment, and I disagree with another part.
Oh,
so I agree that you don't just want to mow everything down.
Yes,
and then, hey, I'm ruling you guys that are left.
Yes.
I don't necessarily agree with the people will respond better if Tyrells are starving them to death as opposed to Sullied.
You don't?
I don't. I feel like they have a very strong army of these Unsullied.
You
have them do a blockade, do the thing. Like, it just seemed like it felt again like, for instance, the Daenerys having the conversation now with Varys felt like an excuse to have the conversation. This feels like oh my god, we have a really powerful army narratively. How can we make it weaker? I know. We can't send the good army to do the thing. Let's send the good army somewhere else, and we'll send the crappy army down to do the other part with the... That's what it feels like to me. It felt like they almost wrote themselves into
This is letting him finish talk face.
Okay. By the way, my wife, she watches these videos. She has noted this face all the time. She's like, oh, is Paul doing that thing? I'm like, yes, Paul constantly just humors me. All right. Anyway, humoring me. I think they gave themselves too powerful an army coming in. Like, oh, there's really no stakes anymore because Daenerys will just wipe through everything. So then they had to kind of retcon a weakness. Oh, the army's too powerful. Let's split it up, and you'll go to Castle Rock, which we haven't really talked about at all in the show before. But that's something really much more important than King's Landing, and we don't want to have you guys show up at King's Landing because people will worry about who's killing them. I don't know. Anyway, I don't agree with that part of it. I'm like, take your strongest army. I agree. Don't use the dragons necessarily but whether it's an unsullied army in a boat out waiting, guarding your harbor, or a Tyrell boat, I think the people are equally mad. I think the people are like, oh, it's a Tyrell boat. You know what? They are good folks. I'm just going to sit this out.
You could try to, anticipate what I would say, or you could stop talking
all right.
and let me actually say something.
Boom. Go for it, sir.
All right. So what I was going to say, and then I decided to let you talk, was, while it's true that not only is it expressed in that meeting, but in a meeting later on where they've established that, these characters that most of us haven't really seen as a part of the show until now, believe it or not, the people who they're going to fight actually do have a bad opinion of them. It's not like they can come out of nowhere. They haven't been a part of the thing, so of course they have a bad opinion about them. And Cersei is using that against them. So, wouldn't you actually have a difficulty? One thing they've been establishing the whole show is the difference between crushing someone under your boot and trying to, effectively take over.
Sure.
And, of course, they're coming out with this huge, army. So you think they just go ahead and kill everybody. And one of the things they did before they bring up, where they killed all the noblemen because they were slavers, right? So you think, before you think that's a smart thing to do. Because
you're talking in the East.
Right, in the East. They killed those slavers, and you think that was a smart thing to do, but it wasn't. Politically, because they weren't doing it smart enough. So here's another situation where, why don't you just kill them? Why don't you just destroy them?
Now, by the way, I didn't say just kill them. I didn't say lay siege with your good army.
But here's the thing, though. It's like the truth of it should be difficult. It should actually be difficult because, rather than having a battle where, I think the strength of this show is politics.
Agreed.
And so, it's not a crazy idea to have the politics of the situation be the people are going to be resentful of us bringing in a foreign army. That seems totally legitimate to me. That's why it seemed legitimate when it was brought up by Cersei.
I would say that I think they're going to be, let's say that they would be, on a scale of 1 to 100 pissed off with a foreign army.
Sure.
Okay? I think they're going to be like 85% pissed off with a homegrown army that's starving them to death. In other words, I don't think they're gaining a lot by having a homegrown army take them over. That's all. That's kind of what I'm going with. I'm like, I agree, they're not going to appreciate this foreign army blockading them, but they're not going to appreciate the Tyrells blockading them either. They're going to be like, I hate those guys.
Right, but at least it's the people they know. It's like, if you can do something, why don't you do it? Like, okay, we thought about how you might feel, so we move them over here.
We're having them take over other places
you don't us
see.
Doing this this token gesture? Don't you see us?
Yeah, I guess that's it. It's the token. Like, really, is that a thing that people are like?
Something that
I appreciate that.
Politics,
take me away.
And I think something that happens in a situation is that they haven't talked about. Obviously, is the fact that in a strong, I think, kingdom wherein you were forcing the people to under bad situations, that might be difficult. But here we know it's not a strong kingdom; it's a weak kingdom. So in a situation where it's like, let's surround them, it's like, and we can soften it a little bit by only having the people that they know before, and once they're starving, what are they going to do? They could just be like, now I love Cersei, or I really hate Cersei now.
Sure.
So
hearts and minds.
So they already have used to these people. of the people in this place, they're the least ready, to tackle. They're just so bothered with their own situation.
Who are they you're talking about?
Sorry. Seriously, these people are so fixated on their own problems right now that going a little easy on them seems to make entirely sense to me, because where they need to be is not worrying about the people across the, is worrying about a bunch of zombies. So
what they've done is this battle plan, we'll just cut real quick to the end, because it kind of is the result of the battle plan, or the battle plan is now in effect. What we're seeing is what used to look like this, indownable army has already taken a loss and is probably going to take a few more losses. So what they're going to do is make Daenerys, they're going to even the odds.
Well, here's
so
the thing
narratively speaking, it's going to be like, oh, Daenerys is in trouble now, and then she's going to have to maybe go against her code and try to make everything ashes.
Here's the thing, to me, is a
nuclear strike.
Is something that I keep hearing people. To me, the bigger point I want to actually introduce is this. So, the Game of Thrones. How are you supposed to win the Game of Thrones? How are you supposed to beat everybody else? And there have been people who have been noble and wanting to get greater things. Like, oh, hey, why can't I marry for love and not have to marry to be a part
marry
of
for love is the worst idea possible in this show.
Right, yeah. And why can't I be nice to the people, or, try to, free the slaves, or get these wildlings and integrate them into the group. Why can't I do nice things like that? Because shouldn't we all be together as a people? And generally, you get killed for doing crap like that. It doesn't work in the Game of Thrones. I keep feeling like for the show to ultimately be satisfying, somebody's going to have to win doing good stuff. So, at the end of the program, it's like, now we can all live in happiness together,
So you don't think, I think she's going to go at least temporarily against her code.
No.
I think the push is going to come to shove. She's going to be like, all right, screw that plan, burn it all.
I think it's quite possible that way. And I think it's potentially possible that she's going to go crazy, and everybody's going to be like, "Oh, what should we trust her?"
I wouldn't think there's
go with Jon Snow.
I wouldn't think that's a likelihood, but I think there's a possibility that she.
Yeah, I don't think it. Yeah, I'm not saying it's definitely going to happen, but I think it's at least people start to wonder. Maybe she'll take some risks. So you're like, wait a minute, right?
Your dad was what again?
Right,
oh, right.
And so I'm hearing a lot of criticism of people like Jon Snow, for instance. And here in this particular plan with trying to be nice and take people's, feelings into consideration, like, well, why don't you just destroy them? Why don't you just crush them under your boot? Don't you want to win the Game of Thrones? That's how you win. And it's like, whatever. Because to me, it reminds me of people who watch gangster movies and they're like, if you'd killed that guy earlier, it's like, what the, that's bad. Killing, right?
It is kind of like it is like the Littlefinger thing of like you could just kill Littlefinger, but it's like yes, you could if you were the jerk, but you also need his army. So
right.
But so let's jump into then Jon Snow.
Well, no, you're talking about tactically, and I'm talking about it's like God forbid.
Hindsight.
Yeah, right. Well, tactically, you wouldn't want to kill him, but it's not like, oh, good, I saved Littlefinger's life. It's like, no, he should die. He's a jerk. So it's like, what I'm talking about here is it would be an incredibly boring show, I admit, if like, oh, I did the nice thing, and it worked out politically.
It would be a Saturday morning cartoon with Teletubbies all having a happy time.
But ultimately, I think that's what has to happen. But I think a lot of people expect people to act like a complete bastard, and at the end be nice. And I don't think that's,
right.
I think
I'm nice now.
Somebody's going to have to like do something and take a risk. Like, I think actually
being a good person under pressure.
Right.
Yeah.
Jon Snow probably should have died in that battle. When he was surrounded by all those people.
And when he was stabbed to death by his men. He was dead.
Right, that's when he came back to life. But after he told her that he should have been dead from that battle.
Because he was stupid, you're saying.
Yeah. That was stupid. There's no way he should have
When he rode across the field, that was what?
He should have been dead.
Yeah. So he has this conversation, it's a public talk with the lords.
Yes.
And Sansa, again, even though he already said to her, hey, by the way, let's not disagree with me in public.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
That's right.
She's like, I disagree with you in public.
Well, because you would think that hey, we're about to have a meeting, and I suspect you're going to disagree with me. Let's talk about this.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say.
Right.
Because he springs it on him, and agreed. His plan does sound goofy. Like, you know what? Okay. You have the extra layer of goofy to them, which is they don't even necessarily believe the White Walkers. I mean, they kind of do, but they kind of don't because they haven't seen them.
Right.
But let's assume for a second everybody believes the White Walkers are a threat.
Right.
Okay, hey, White Walkers are a problem. There's a whole bunch of Dragonglass. I just got this note from my buddy who I trust. A bunch of Dragonglass under Dragonstone. Here's the problem. The Targaryen queen with her 3 dragons is there now. But she sent me a thing saying I should show up. So I'm just going to go. I'm going to go see what happens. Like, that would sound dumb to me. Like, you're just going to get killed or imprisoned. Like, one of those two things is almost certainly going to happen to you. So I get the fact that there'd be pushback.
Or even, if they force them to bend the knee, and then, okay, fine, we're under her yoke.
Yeah. But what I found interesting was Sansa's like, this is a horrible idea. What the hell are you talking about? And then Jon's like, well, I'm going to leave you in charge. Okay. Cool. Oh. No, go. You go then. That's great. No, I got this. Like, her demeanor changes so fast once it's like, oh, I'm in charge, and you're... Okay, well, hey, good luck. Let me pat you on the back. Go get him, Jon. Like, well, okay. That became suddenly a reasonable plan in her eyes. Then, of course, we have he goes down to the crypts to pay his respects to his dad's tomb.
Yes.
And Littlefinger comes down as a jerk.
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing, though.
He generally doesn't have a choice of how he comes down. I mean, he no way he could come down and not be a jerk.
That's my point. Doesn't that seem like let's assume he's a brilliant tactician.
I could assume, yes.
In which he, in the show paints him as this guy who's manipulative, knows everything, and does everything.
Sure.
What's the advantage in going down? Like, is he just picking a fight? Because it didn't sound like he wanted to pick a fight. It seemed like what he was trying to do was say, hey, just remember, I helped you out, and this is cool.
Yes.
But, like, to go down there, which is probably restricted. I'm going to guess non-family members don't get to go down to the crypts at all.
Right.
So he just shows up unannounced. Yeah. It seems like if you want to accomplish your goal of, hey, Jon, remember me, that's not the time to do it. Like, they declare it as like, oh, I just had a tough time finding you alone. Yeah, but not there. not that. That seemed like that didn't seem like the best idea. And of course, it ends up with him getting choked out.
I feel like there's nowhere he would have gone and not had been choked out.
Okay. Which, by the way, is a callback to Ned choking him out back in season 1. Anyway,
callback to choke.
Father son. Father
nephew.
So
thinks he's his son.
So yeah, I mean, and Littlefinger can't help but sound sleazy. It was just basically his hey, I probably,
don't hate the player, hate the game.
I'm probably gonna have sex with your sister. So anyway, have a safe trip.
On the consolation side, I would have had sex with your mother.
Right, much better.
I think it says mother, and really it's a stepmother.
Yeah, or aunt. It's his.
Well, in his mind.
Oh right, stepmother, aunt. But his mind is stepmother. But it is interesting, too, because he gives, he being Jon, gives kind of an empty threat where he's like, if you do anything, I'll kill you myself. Right. Bye. like the next beat is him riding away.
Well, it made me think, is this play now to do something to Jon when he's gone? Just so,
Try to. Although we do see... do I even say spoilers? Nothing else even spoiled. Spoiler! In the trailer. I mean,
that's something you everybody knew was going to happen up until now.
Yeah.
But
in the trailer for episode 3, we see the final meeting that everybody's kind of wanted to see since maybe season 1 of Jon and Daenerys. Like he's there at Dragonstone meeting until so he doesn't get dinked anywhere along the way. Not to say there couldn't be an assassin waiting.
Spoiler. I'm sorry. I wasn't. You went all the way to the trailer for the next episode.
Yes, I did.
Assuming that there are people who watch the show who probably don't watch the trailers.
Oh, so there was a spoiler. So I said spoilers first.
Yeah,
so I'm safe.
Spoiler for the.
So anyway, my point being, he does arrive safely. So if the idea was kill him on the road.
Well, gotta come back.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, now I'm not gonna kill him because.
No, I agree that it sounds like it would be. Although in the immediate future, it's just good to have Jon away for Littlefinger to do his thing. Eventually, you're right. He kind of wants Jon to get killed, and then Sansa would theoretically be until Bran shows up, which he's about to do.
Yes.
And they'll be like, "Oh, great! Now I got to kill another guy. How do I kill the wheelchair guy?"
Well, I feel like I guess maybe you would want to choose a boy before a girl, even though he's younger than her.
Him being Bran?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Bran would, I think as the male heir, I think he would have precedence.
Yeah.
Is my thought. In the misogynist society that is Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how that gets resolved in Winterfell. We see some Arya scenes where Arya goes to the inn at the crossroads.
Yes.
And meets up with Hot Pie. Although it was interesting because, like, did you get that? Like, she didn't seem that excited. And maybe she shouldn't have been, but she didn't seem that excited to see Hot Pie again.
Right.
Like, he's excited to see her, and she's like, yeah, whatever, blah, 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 until he has information.
I think initially she's like, hey, Hot Pie. And then she's like, this is a great Hot Pie. So I think she was excited about the Hot Pie.
He uses brown butter. That's the secret.
They traded, I don't do
She does the pie joke.
She makes pies, but she
makes human pie.
Makes a pie. She doesn't do the butter, so maybe she'll do that next time.
Yeah, next time when she's killing off her foes.
And then he asks her about what's going on with her, and then she changes the subject.
Yeah, and so he gives the very important information that Jon Snow, King of Winterfell, she thinks the Boltons are in Winterfell.
Right.
So she learns that's not true, and she trusts Hot Pie to. She asked him, "I was like, are you joking?" He's like, "What? Why would I joke to you?"
Right. Well, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm sure he's not the only person that knows.
Yeah. So she then has the little moment on the crossroads. She sees there's a group going south to King's Landing, and she turns around north, heads back north, and so she's on her way back to, in her mind, see Jon Snow. We know that by the time she gets there, he's going to be gone, but
right, because she doesn't know that Sansa's alive, right?
Hot Pie did not mention Sansa.
Or maybe he does, because she did talk to the big, soldier woman.
Yes, so she knew that at that time, at least, Sansa was alive. So she probably doesn't realize that, but she doesn't really like Sansa. I mean, like, she's not like, yay! She wouldn't be happy at her death, but I don't think she's excited at the possibility of, because she and Jon Snow were really close. And so I think she's like, my brother, this will be great.
True. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like enough has happened to them.
Yeah, that's right. Just to say,
be like,
someone's alive.
Remember how we used to fight? I personally encountered people much worse after I last saw you. And that's both of them can say that.
Right.
It's like when...
it was that time when you hit me in the face with a pie.
When Arya
had brown butter.
told, it wasn't the Mountain, it was his brother.
The Hound.
The Hound, that he was the worst shit in all of Westeros. I don't think if she'd come along, she would have like, except for you. I'm sorry. I forgot about my sister.
And we're going to see that scene. I mean, they're going to have a reuniting, and it'll be interesting to see how they. I think
they will. So
are we good? And
I think so. Because potentially, I think she could be like, hey, are you going to stick around now? Like, I could help the family out a lot. I'm going to kill the queen.
Somebody need some killing? I'm pretty good at the killing part. Yeah. So she then has a run-in with Nymeria, her old direwolf.
Yes.
Who is leading this pack, which in the books is the thing where the Nymeria has a super pack.
Yes.
So they meet up, and then basically, it's a nice scene there where they kind of linger on Arya's face.
Yes.
She kind of asks Nymeria to join her, basically. I'm going to go back to Winterfell. You want to come with me? And Nymeria's, in dog language.
Yes.
No. Turns around and leaves, and then for a moment, Arya's like, what? But then she realizes, she says, that's not you, which is a callback again to season 1, where Ned is saying, hey, girls should have dresses and
I'll find you a nice good husband.
And she says, that's not me.
Yes.
And so, what she's saying is, I get it. Nymeria being a pet to me and like following me around and being domesticated basically is not your way and it's not my way. I get it. Like she's seeing a simpatico between the two of them. But what that sets up is, I feel like every episode I have to make one Tolkien analogy. So this is my token analogy.
Oh.
Basically, the Nymeria Super PAC will be the equivalent of the Eagles actually it would be the Hobbit in the Battle of the Five Armies, where there's this huge there's all these forces. Oh my God, the orcs are so big. There's no way we can defeat them. Oh look, all of a sudden out of nowhere, a bunch of eagles show up and start taking out the orcs. I think you're going to see oh my God, these White Walkers. There's no way we can defeat them. Oh look, giant pack of wolves.
Oh,
I think giant pack of wolves are going to come save the day sometime in season 8. That's my thought.
All right, I wasn't anticipating you to with the White Walkers because I feel like, we're already talking about the potential. I think we were of a dragon being turned.
I agree.
So
I
don't think it would be that difficult for one of those guys to kill one of those.
Well, that's true. Maybe a white. Maybe whites. Maybe the zombies. The zombies could have trouble with a wolf. Yeah.
I mean, yes, they could. I fear for the wolves and the whites.
Yeah, I don't think they'll.
Oh, you don't.
They'll lose some numbers. Yeah, but it'll be like a holding action.
And I think I'd heard someplace else that in the book perhaps the wolves take on the army, Cersei's army.
Oh, okay. All right. So you think maybe there'll be like a more of a human-based army that they'll help out against?
It's like, I guess when they're like traipsing around, it's like, hey. Oh, whatever happened to those guys?
What you'll do is like Arya will warg into Nymeria, and then she'll tell Nymeria, okay, I've got a bunch of dragon glass with glue all over it. Have your pack roll in the dragon glass, then attack. All right. Okay. That won't happen. All right.
In my head, I was like, Arya can warg? What?
There's the theory that maybe she can in the books, but all the Stark kids can have a connection with their wolves, the ones that are actually still alive. So that's the Arya stuff. So then we have Old Town. And we have Sam.
Yes.
First, we see him Slughorn, Professor Slughorn, handing him all these books that he's supposed to read up on. And we find out that Professor Slughorn is writing his own book on the history of the Robert's Rebellion, basically, or what happened. Basically, he's writing the events that are happening now, which leads into this theory that Sam is writing the Song of Ice and Fire.
Oh.
And that this is kind of like I write up my one Tolkien reference. I'm not doing another Tolkien reference, Bilbo. Anyway, that he's writing this story that we're actually living through now. Because at one point he even says, I'm calling him Professor Slughorn. I can't remember the guy's name though. He's got a name, and I'm thinking Archmaester so and so, and
the actor
Jim Broadbent. But we're calling him Professor Slughorn because that's kind of the same character he is. So Professor Slughorn. He's like, we're writing, and then he gives the title, like, it's the history of after Robert's Rebellion, and Sam's like, oh, okay, and he's like, that's not really that poetic, and he's like, well, we're not into writing poetry, we write facts or whatever, and so like the idea that maybe Sam would write it more poetic, and so he'd say, a Song of Ice and Fire, so that's kind of where that comes from, but. Much like we noted last week after reading the other pages that Sam was looking at, he's got a cure in mind for Dragon Scale.
Yes.
Which is just painful as hell. And it's interesting because, so Sam comes into the cell, Slughorn says, hey, Jory, you got 6 months before you go insane.
Yes.
We're going to send you to the island of the Stone Men.
Yes.
The leper colony.
Yes.
Tomorrow.
Yes.
You have one night to do the right thing, look at your sword. So in other words, go kill yourself. That way we don't have to send you, and you don't have to go crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's not like, oh, it's such a burden.
Yeah, no. Right.
Do us a favor, okay? Would you kill yourself?
Would you just kill yourself?
We like that truck.
Yeah. So Jorah's writing his last death letter, a suicide note to Daenerys as Sam comes in. It's like, shh, be quiet. I'm going to put this in your mouth because we can't hear you scream. I'm about to take all of your upper layer of skin off, and then I'm going to replace it with some kind of salve. And so we see very viscerally this scene of the stuff being taken off. Yes.
He mentions to him that he knew his father, that Sam knew Jorah's father.
Yeah. So they had their connection. We can assume this is going to work. But here's the interesting part about this.
Or at least partially, I guess, right? I mean,
so Slughorn pretty much was like, we don't do this cure because the guy who came up with it died of grayscale, and it's way too dangerous.
Yeah,
and
he says dangerous, and no more questions need to be asked.
Yeah,
just say that it's dangerous.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I mean, this seems like a really big anti-authoritarian move on behalf of Sam. Like, he is breaking the Maester's code or whatever to do this. Yeah. I feel like even if he's successful, which he almost certainly will be, doesn't they maybe get thrown out or suspended or something bad, right? You did like, oh, you know what? You did the exact thing I told you not to do.
Right.
Oh, this guy looks like he might recover. Oh, it's all right. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's an it's all right thing. I think he might be in real trouble.
He might be in real trouble. It occurred to me, though, that maybe part of his plan is to sweep up all the, grayscale.
Paint him gray?
No. No, I was going to say
set him on the boat.
Sweep up all the grayscale. Either he got away. He knocked me down.
Oh. He went crazy. You said 6 months. It was more like 6 hours. Or he went nuts.
He killed himself. I got rid of the body.
Oh, okay.
That's
actually a good idea. I think that you might be right. Just put like a little bag and then, oops.
Yeah. Oh, he killed himself.
Yeah.
I don't want to touch him. You want to have a look?
Yeah. All right. No, that's actually well done, sir. I think that's a good idea.
Who knows?
Part of me does think
you're right, though. It might be kicked out for it. What else does he need to know?
Right. That's what I was thinking. What else does he need to know?
Yeah, maybe the plan is I do this and then we leave.
Though the one thing that was theorized before the season came that he still hasn't necessarily done, although he's looked at enough books that maybe he's already figured it out, was how to forge Valyrian steel.
Right.
And that was some kind of thing that we thought was going to come from him.
Right.
And so, I don't know. That would be if I were to pick one thing that he maybe still needs to figure out, it would be that.
Right. But yeah, I would assume, that seems like you don't need another scene yet.
Yeah. Oh, here's another book. Yeah. Let me take 5 minutes to read this one. Okay, so they did the cutaway from that to the stew at the crossroads, which they had the pus to soup.
Yep.
So they've had poop to soup. Cutaways montage from episode 1. Now pus to soup.
Pus to pie.
It's like, man, they're not fans of soup. No. I'll just say that, or whatever that was that they were. Anyway, it's just some kind of disgusting.
They're trying to help you lose weight.
Okay. Good. Fine. Mission accomplished.
Don't eat while you're watching this show. Is the message.
What do we see? I'm forgetting what kind of Cersei stuff we saw.
Oh, so Cersei stuff was, it wasn't more with him, because
him being Jamie.
No, you're on. So we don't see them together.
Did we not see Cersei that much?
We did see her.
Okay.
I can't remember.
Oh, that's right. Right. Oh, of course, she has the meeting with the lords. With Sam's
that's
dad.
When she's like, hey, these guys
suck. They're crazy.
Yep. Oh, how
Mad
they
Queen.
are. Ooh, the terrible foreigners.
Burns everybody.
And then Jamie had to, okay, here's how you actually do diplomacy.
So he goes and talks to Charlie's dad. Although Charlie's dad, is pretty upfront to be like,
I don't know
you guys poison people at their wedding, or kill people at their weddings, and you poison people, and I'm not such a big fan of you, but, Jamie's pretty... Did you see? There was an interesting little slight there that he being Jamie, gives to Dad Tarly, his son. So Sam's older brother is hanging out with him, and he calls him Rickard, first.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, yes.
Which, Rickard Stark was the guy who was, I believe, is Ned's brother, who basically went to King's Landing. This was back in the Mad King days.
Right.
Ended up being tortured and killed in front of, like, Jamie watched this guy be tortured and killed as kind of like a sporting thing. It was like a really cruel way to kill this guy. Right. But it's just interesting because he was the son of the Stark Lord at the time. So he's comparing this guy, I don't know, like almost like a little threat of like, oh, you know, this other Lord's son that came here, I think his name was Rickard. You kind of remind me of him. That guy. Like, whoa. I mean, you know, anyway, it was kind of this interesting little subtle threat because he didn't say it meanly.
Right.
But if you just interpret like what that means, if you just take who was named that? Oh, that guy. The guy who like strangled himself trying to save his dad who was on fire. I think it was something like that. Anyway, so it was just kind of a, wow, okay, threats coming. But yeah, we get the idea that Mr. Tarley is going to at some point agree. Yeah, oh yeah, you're right. These foreigners are coming here. Let's go ahead and I'll join you and be your general.
Right.
That hasn't happened yet, but that looks like it's going to happen probably in the next episode. Yeah. So then we've got the big battle at the end.
The big battle at the end.
Which, as the big battles go, you know, the big set pieces. So you got like the Battle of Blackwater. You've got the Bastards, Battle of the Bastards. So I think like this one,
kill a couple of sand snakes.
This one seemed a little disjointed. Like it was so dark.
It was dark.
Like it was night. The ships are black. The sails are black. Everybody was wearing dark clothing. I couldn't even tell. Like I was like, is the Navy destroyed? It looked kind of like it, but maybe not.
Kind of.
Was it 5 boats? Was it like there were fires, but like who was on? What boats were on fire? It was done so dark that it was just tough to see what was going on. But in the personal level, yeah, we had so Yara.
Yes, Yara
is captured.
Yes.
And Ilaria Sand, the queen of the Sand Snakes, is captured, and I think one of the daughters got captured.
I think one of the daughters.
2 of the daughters were killed, and I think the 3rd is captured.
Okay.
So what we see from, again, the trailer for episode
Spoilers.
3, spoiler, is that Euron shows up in King's Landing with the gift he promised, which is, of course, the woman who poisoned your daughter, and that woman's daughter. So what that means to me is like, that's not good. That's not good.
That's not good.
That's not good for anybody. But so if I were to guess, I would say the daughter dies first, probably in front of the mom, so that she can endure that pain first, and then she kills the mom. Right. And then for Yara, I don't know. Like, what is Yara's fate? Here's what I feel like, because we had this set up in probably the most important or like moving moment of the episode was Theon with a choice.
Yes.
And he, the choice is more or less go die trying to save your sister.
Yes.
Or run away.
Yes.
And he runs away.
Yes.
Which is not that out of character for him.
No.
I mean, he's got PTSD. That's what he's got. Crazy. Plus, even if he didn't have PTSD, it's not the worst idea. I mean, it's you're abandoning your sister to her fate, but there is a reasonable thought of as soon as I start to come at you, he's going to slit her throat, kill her, then kill me. Yeah. So, as far as an outcome, you're like, what's the best outcome? This is not a good outcome, but at least we're both still alive.
Yes.
Whereas we would both be dead about 60 seconds from now if I try to fight you.
Yes.
So he made he made the decision based on fear, but even as a smart play, it's not necessarily the worst idea to say, I'll come for you later.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave for now.
So here's where, while I certainly like Theon more than I used to.
Okay.
And Yara I like as a character, and I kind of feel like they're pumping up Euron just to,
Right, they finally made him a force to be reckoned with. This was my God, he's tough and
it's a great performance, but it's hard for me to feel like. I mean, I think it doesn't make sense to me that he would have just killed Yara and then Theon anyway. So it doesn't make sense to me.
You feel like they've set him up as the new mustache twirler?
It's like, you talk about irrational things like, oh, wait, the story says I shouldn't kill you because there's more for you to do, so I'm not going to kill you. Because before, it was like, let's go kill him. But now that I've got you, I want to kill you.
I guess the gift, although she is, like, the gift
could have just been her.
Right.
Just
the gift
mother.
doesn't make sense to be Yara at all.
Yeah.
It's more of, he cares more about Yara than Cersei does.
Yeah. So,
I do feel like they're setting up a situation where Theon is going to come back and try to rescue her.
Sure, yeah.
Like then she tried to rescue him.
Then he'll get to kill Euron, I guess. I mean, I can't... It's one of those things where I don't necessarily see what the story is for Yara and Theon, really, other than, okay, now we're a part of the group, so we're going to, ultimately fight zombies. I don't know what their story is. And I feel like...
I think Yara eventually dies and Theon becomes the leader.
Yeah. Then one of those things where it's like, me?
Yeah. Right.
That's all I've been through?
They aren't the luckiest pair of siblings. I mean, there's a lot of unlucky siblings in Game of Thrones, but they're pretty bad. Their luck is not held.
So I don't, part of me wonders if, at some point we don't lose them too. I just don't know if their story is that strong, really, to make it all the way. Maybe it'll make it all the way through this season, but
I feel like there'll be some representative of the Iron Islands, just because in the game, I feel like there will be one person from each house will still be around.
Yeah, because we don't really know anybody else.
Yeah, right.
So yeah.
So anyway, that's we're over 45 minutes now,
yes,
so we'll wrap this up, but. Exciting. We had some issues with some things, but overall, this is an exciting episode. It's pushing forward, and looking forward to seeing Jon and Daenerys finally meet up.
Yes.
The two arguably most important characters in Game of Thrones will actually talk to each other next week. Yes. So we'll be back for that.
Yes, and hopefully with the return of Amber, she can keep us.
Yes, keep us right. Keep the talking down to a half hour.
She can tame us.
Yes. Yeah. If you subscribe, you will get notices. Bing, 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 bing. That we're coming out with new things. But we'll be doing Game of Thrones till the end of the season. We saw that there was a Westworld trailer that came out. We are excited about Westworld. Yes. Of course, it's 2018 sometime. They haven't even said that it is. But we'll have other cool, fun, geeky things after Game of Thrones. But for now, episode 3 coming up. All right. So until then, bye everybody.